Hello. So I just wanted to make this quick video because I wanted to share with you what I'm struggling with right now. And this is actually kind of what I've been struggling with for the last 4 to 5 years making content. And as a content creator, we have a lot of ideas we want to go through. We end up tossing some to the side and some we focus on. And some ideas are great for the audience and some ideas are great more for ourselves as creators. And so it's always a constant duality when you're creating content. Are you making this for your fans, which is going to lead to growth and making them happy? Or are you making it for yourself because you know that you want to make it? It's something that you want to create. Maybe to scratch that creative itch, if you will. And in the ideal situations when you make something that both like. However, it's always one of those three, but it's just one of those things where it's kind of hard to always tell. My point is there's a lot of ideas that I had a while back, and I kind of want to go into that a little bit, even though it's a tangent, because it is interesting, especially when it comes to the strategy behind it. But I had a lot of ideas in the past, and I really wanted to get them done. But over the first 2 years of this decade, 2020, 2021, I was focusing on interviews and I just could not do both. I couldn't do the solo content and the interview content, at least not at the sustainability that I needed to do. And it was really frustrating to me because I started my solo content with kind of Gary Vee's philosophy in mind, where I could try to, reach a lot of different people across a lot of different platforms in a very sustainable way, ironically, but it was still kind of hard for me to do it. So let's go back. The Poly Tools channel that you're on right now started out as the Poly and Content channel. Poly meaning like much or many ways of approaching content, Poly in content. However, that name didn't really roll off the tongue very well, and it wasn't really that great. It was kind of confusing. It wasn't the original name. The original name was Omni Content, right? Omni-channel content. I wanted to be everywhere, all platforms, Omni. And that was the idea, but it turns out that's trademarked by some random company for e-commerce or something like that. But Omni Content was the idea behind my original series that I did. So I started out doing blogging, then I did some podcasts, and then I did videos, and all of which were different individual silos that really didn't do much besides their own, like they stayed in their own lane, if you will. But I wanted to combine all three lanes, which is what a lot of big creators end up doing. You make a video, you transcribe it into a blog post, and you tweak it to make an actual blog, and then you cut out the audio and make a podcast, kind of like what Gary Vee always talked about doing. And the thing is, even if it wasn't a blog post, you could maybe make it into a slide deck for SlideShare when that was still a thing, stuff like that. And so and actually, you know what? LinkedIn might still favor slide decks if you post them on there and they're good enough. However, that's kind of what my intention was. I made my blog post because that's what I like doing, like blogging first. And then I used that blog post to create a slide deck. And then I talked over that slide deck and make a video. And I made it in a certain way to where at least the audio sounded good. It sounded like you're actually getting something out of it. And then I tried to make micro content from that. And the strategy was pretty sound. It's just for some reason in execution, there was a couple points of breaking that would make it harder for me, or I added too many steps or something like that, the complexity of it. But that series was what kind of thrusted me into content creation in the first place. Like, yes, I had done some podcasting and videos before, but making that series is what motivated me to really push myself even harder. And what I really wanted to do was try to make one of those Omni contents every day. Because Gary Vee was always talking about you need to make 100 pieces of content every day. Now, I was completely fine with doing it once a week. That was fine. And ironically, it ended up becoming once a month or even once a quarter because I was doing it so sparingly. And I had a couple of different ideas for mini-series that I wanted to do within it. So the actual series itself was not topic-based, which is a little bit taboo in the creator world because they usually want you to do just one topic. But the idea was the series was the strategy-based. And so I would create the content using that strategy, and that's what the series was. It didn't really matter if it was all different topics because PolyInnovator is about a lot of different topics. Poly Tools is about a lot of different tools and how to be a modern content creator. There's already a couple different topics running around on this channel. However, I just found myself not doing it. Eventually, I decided to depreciate that series and just focus on doing the silos as best I could. And that seemed to work pretty well, and I've been kind of doing better at batching too, which allows me to focus more on the interviews without stressing that videos aren't going out. And making videos like this now has become a lot more natural for me because I really wanted to get this off my chest. Let's make a video. So that series had around 300 or 400 ideas that I really wanted to create. However, it just really did not, work out. And so I ended up taking those ideas. Now, mind you, each one of those ideas would have been a video, podcast, and a blog post. And then I decided to divvy it up into 3 different silos. I put some of these ideas, oh, that would work as a blog post, or some of these ideas, oh, that would work as a YouTube video. At the time, I didn't have the secondary channel. I had the gaming channel, but that's not really going to be, I think maybe 3 ideas went into that channel. So really, all these ideas were kind of just sitting there in my blogs, PolyInnovator YouTube, and then the Polycast. But then once I started this show, or this channel, I was able to put some of those ideas to work onto this channel. So one of the mini series that I wanted to do was how to be an influencer. And that word does not really quite mean what it used to mean. Maybe I'll still make a video just kind of in homage to that, paying homage to that, because I ended up changing that to how to be a modern content creator, which has become the theme of this channel, how to become a modern content creator, taking these strategies. And that's why I'm making this video too. It's like, yes, it's not necessarily super really high quality. I'm not going to probably edit this. I'm probably just going to post it straight up. But that's because the idea behind it, I think, is more important than trying to make it as perfect as possible. Because I think that sharing what I'm struggling with and how I organize my planning too, I'm going to give you a kind of a tease towards that, is going to help you learn how to actually organize your content better. So I started out doing things in like Google Sheets and Airtable. Airtable was pretty decent. And then I moved to Notion, which Notion ended up being kind of the best, if you will, when it comes to using that database and calendar view to plan out my content. But eventually I moved to Capacities, and then now I'm in Obsidian again. And just wanted to kind of show you here, like, I have a lot of different content streams that I want to do. And in this, like the YouTube video for the main channel, YouTube for this channel. And so even just for like the blog posts, for example, I had so many blog posts that I wanted to make. I had to separate into different phases, and each phase, has around 100 or so, or 60 to 100, I think. And it's one of those things where I had to prioritize which ones I wanted to make first. But that's still 4 phases of content that I want to make as soon as possible. At least the first 2 as soon as possible. And then the same thing goes for the YouTube. I only have a few ideas left now on here. But if you look at like Poly Tools, I still have a lot of ideas here. And then even a lot of the ideas actually went towards another brand of mine that I want to bring back at some point. And so it's one of those things where I was able to disseminate those ideas across multiple different kind of content streams, but really all I'm doing is planning it via text, and there's not any task management or calendar management in Obsidian that's decent enough to where I can do it like I did in Notion. So that's a little bit of a tangent there, and I don't want to go quite into it. If you're more interested in the knowledge management things, the PolyInnovator channel, the link is on my profile here, and if you want to go check that out, I talk more about knowledge management on there quite a bit. And so the idea was I wanted to that's not the right word. I wanted to get through a lot of these ideas as quick as possible so that I can focus more on like SEO, optimized content, or content that's more relevant for the time. And so there's something big that's happening in the creator world. Like right now, currently, Spotify just recently added clips to your podcast. They already supported video, and so now you can do your own clip. Turns out it's only 1 clip per video, so you have to make sure it's your best one. So that was a lesson I had to learn the hard way. I was really excited because I have like 10 to 20 clips per interview. I was going to do all of them, but it's only 1 clip per interview. And I also went through, for the Poly Tools Creator Spotlight, I added the videos versions to each of the interviews because I had not done that yet. Because really, their interface was pretty bad before. And so I'm probably going to do that for the Polymath Polycast as well. That's my other show I do for the PolyInnovator channel. A lot of polys in that sentence there. And that's really kind of about it. I just wanted to mention that like I'm making it through. And I feel like this isn't just like a collection of posts I want to make. This is almost a phase in of itself. A phase being like a area of focus or a time that I need to dedicate to this. It's becoming a big project. And I think in 2023, at the tail end of 2022, I was able to get through a decent chunk of that content I wanted to make. So I'm about halfway through at this point. But I'm approaching the end of the year of 2024, and I'm still working on the stuff that I came up with back 5 or 4 years ago. And a lot of this content would set the stone for certain phases that I wanted to do for my content ecosystem. because not everything's going to be about content creators. Not everything's going to be about knowledge management for polymaths like these two channels are. Some things might be something different. There's some posts that I wanted to make that were about dating, for example, on the blog, on the website. I wanted to talk about relationships and stuff like that. I had some ideas about that. I wanted to talk about what does it mean to be like a man in the modern era, and that's something I wanted to, like, share my ideas about, because I think it's definitely something that should be more open. And other topics could even just be like gaming stuff and stuff like that. And so really, I'm not going to keep drilling on and on here, but I just think it's interesting to think about, we have these challenges, and so you have to ask yourself, what are you going to do to fix it?